Welcome to Love and the Bug.
I'm Rianne.
And I'm Sammy.
And we've been friends for over 20 years.
When COVID-19 pandemic began, we decided to get our heads together and find out from friends how they were really coping in this awful pandemic.
We were especially interested in how it was affecting their relationships. So we thought we'd get a few of them together and interview them. They're all of similar age, but all with very different stories and experiences.
We hope you enjoy it.
Our next guest certainly has been on a roller coaster these past few months. From family illness, a cancelled wedding, to being furloughed. Still, her positivity shines through. Give it up for Claire.
Hello!
Hello.
So can we start with finding out what your name, age, location and occupation is, please, caller?
My name is Claire King-Dawes, I suppose. And my occupation, I'm an assessor for apprenticeships. And my location is Hertfordshire. I live in a tiny village called Widford in Hertfordshire.
And how old are you, love?
Oh, I was hoping you wouldn't ask that again.
Oh, you don't have to tell us. You don't have to.
No, I'm 37.
Oh, and you're my little sister.
Yeah,
Ah.
known as Claire Bear or Bear.
So you had your illegal small intimate wedding, didn't you, at the end of last year? But you had always planned that you were going to have a big proper wedding, as it were, with all your friends and family in Slovenia this summer.
Yes.
So you're officially married, but you haven't actually had what you would class as your proper wedding yet. Even though your intimate small wedding was beautiful and perfect, you always had in the back of your mind that you were going to have this big shebang, and it was going to be abroad and have all your friends and family. So when did you first get the inkling that it might not happen?
I think it was early this year. We were still in a bit of denial, but David's brother's a doctor, and he was kind of sending the family updates on what was happening with the coronavirus and kind of mentioning it's all quite serious. And we were just talking and going, this sounds quite serious. I don't think it's going to go ahead, but we had that in the back of our minds. Probably by the start of February, it was around my birthday, I think, start of Feb, that we were kind of really thinking about it and then going, oh my goodness me, what's going to happen? And then the lockdown started happening in Europe and Italy, and Slovenia is on the border of Italy. So we were just looking at each other going, no, it's not going to happen. And I think we kind of came to terms with it pretty, early on in the lockdown. But in the back of our minds, I think we still had the thought of, oh, potentially it still could go ahead, but we'd kind of made it up. I don't know, it made us feel a bit better that we'd come to that conclusion in our minds, but it's when we actually had to kind of come to cancelling the wedding, it was, a lot harder than I think we both anticipated it to be. Even though we'd had a bit of time and people had been, saying, oh, it could happen, I think the pair of us kind of knew deep down that it wasn't going to go ahead. But so I suppose early on, I was in lockdown really from the 9th of March. So I've been at home really since the 9th of March. I've been working remotely since then. So and David's brother was giving us updates, and I work in hospitals. So I was trying to kind of remotely work as much as possible. Then when the lockdown happened, we were still kind of, okay, we'll wait until the end of April. I think the end of April is going to be a good turning point, and I think we knew pretty soon, within mid-April, that the flights were being cancelled, everything was not going ahead. Italy was on severe lockdown. It was surreal, madness, mental. I mean, you couldn't make it up. You couldn't write it, and it's not just weddings abroad, it's weddings in general. And the more we thought about it, even though the flights weren't going to go ahead, or maybe they would, but we wouldn't want to put our family and friends under that kind of pressure if they didn't want to go. You know, we wouldn't want to make them feel that they were pressured into going and they weren't going to feel safe. Who's going to want to get on a plane in close proximity when there's a global pandemic? Yeah, I mean, yeah.
Party of the year. I'll risk it. I'll risk it.
It would have just been you and
Anything
me
to get away.
But yeah, it was the thought of that, and you know, and there were weddings in the UK that weren't going ahead, weddings all around the globe that weren't going ahead. You know, there's virtual weddings that have been happening. But yeah, the thought of going abroad with and putting that much pressure on everyone was not something that we were willing to do. And you know, we haven't put another date in. We could have quite easily. Our wedding planner said, "Oh, give us a date," and we did. First of all, give her a date in September, which is a special date for us for our another anniversary. We've got so many. But then I quickly kind of said, I think that's a bad idea. We can't put another date or time on it. And so.
It's really difficult to reschedule things, isn't it? Because you have absolutely no idea of the timeline or how long this is going to go on for, or if there's going to be a second bout of it.
Yeah.
So, and so many bookings and events and things are asking for a rescheduled date, and it's really tricky to kind of go, oh yeah, I think everything will be fine by then. Because nobody knows what the timeline on this is.
I guess it's also a change for so many people in their circumstances as well. So Bear, you've been furloughed, right? You said the other day you've been furloughed.
Yeah. So yeah, it's all crazy. We were going really well with business, and all of my work, all of my learners that I see, we have lots of remote provisions in place, so it's very easy for us as a company to work remotely to a degree. A lot of changes were brought in place where we had lots of workshops and remote kind of workings for everyone to kind of interactively learn still online. But all of my learners were engaged. But I think it's a good business. I think it's a good business decision at the end of the day. You know, we all want to be there in a couple of months' time, and we want to be able to come back to work. And I think it's a good decision. The company that I work with are kind of a family-based, smallish company. I think they'll do anything and everything to kind of ensure that we stay. They've been around for 30 years. You know, let's hope and pray that we are. And I think for the time being, you know, I think furlough is probably the best business sense. Even though all of our learners were engaged, in 2 months' time, we wouldn't have enrolled as many learners. So the amount of learners to tutor ratio was going to be, you know, it does make sense. So yeah, a little bit, I was a little worried. I think I was preoccupied with the wedding.
Yeah.
Then other family stuff also happened in the mix. So I don't know, I'm just looking at it as it is what it is, and you know, what can we do, and let's hope and pray that it's the best business decision. And yeah, so I'm furloughed from last Thursday, and I'm just trying to fill my time.
All paid?
Well, our company at the beginning did say, so the first people that were furloughed right at the beginning, I think there was like a handful of people that were furloughed, and they said that the company was going to pay the additional 20%. So they were off for a month on 100%, 80% government furlough, and then 20% our company bumped it up. But then they've actually put over 70% of the workforce on furlough now. So that's just not feasible. And so no, unfortunately, just 80% for me now.
But you seem to have a great attitude about it, and I think just enjoy this a bit of a break. You work so hard, and you know, to be getting 80% for having a break, that you know that you're going to have a job at the end of it, fingers crossed. You know, it's but it is a time for actually just enjoying it for what it is. And I think that's really important, to not get too stressed during the time, you know, just
absolutely. I think
grab what you can and enjoy the time off.
Yeah, you've got to in this, because it's so uncertain. I mean, all of us, come on, we must be like this all the time. 1 minute we're absolutely fine, and the next minute it just hits us and we're just like, goodness me, what on earth is going on? This is so surreal. You know, I was speaking with my auntie, Brenda, who's like in her 80s, and she's never experienced this in her lifetime before. You know, it's madness. It's nothing that many of us have ever experienced before. So you have to just kind of roll with it, because it's completely out of your control. If you think that you can kind of control anything that's going on at the moment, then you're going to obviously find it really hard. So you've just got to roll with it, and it is what it is, and make, you know, the best out of every situation, and take the positives out of everything. Like you said, I'll try and, you know, utilize my time off. You know, when do you ever get time off and the government looks after you like this? You know,
exactly.
David said it to me last night. He said, you know, because I was going, oh gosh, I've never been in this situation before, and he just said, Claire, the government is looking after you right now, and that's what you need to think about. Completely surreal and out of anyone's control. And
Let's do a toast.
So, oh well, with my corona.
No judgment
You've
here.
got corona?
Claire's got the Rona.
Claire's got corona. So have you been, obviously you've been at home. Is David at home?
Yeah, David's at home.
So how's that been? Have you been spending a lot more time in each other's company during this?
Obviously, we're homebods anyway. We love being at home, and we do spend a lot of time with each other, and we kind of enjoy it.
That's a good thing.
Yeah.
Don't knock it.
He's my husband. We quite enjoy it.
Yeah, no, a lot of people, yeah, it's just like normal, really. Not much has really changed for us, if we're being honest, apart from, you know, the odd weekend catch up. During the week, we well, and going to work and things, I suppose. But yeah, no, we're used to staying in and being homebods, really. But it's been nice. Like, we've really enjoyed it. You can do things around the house. You can do, I know it sounds daft, but you can keep on top of the washing. You can cook. You can, you know, just things like that you wouldn't necessarily normally be able to do. So yeah, our relationship hasn't really changed. And
fast forward 8 weeks and she'll be like, get me out of here. I
wanna
can't bear him.
I have killed him. Ah.
8 weeks already, though, about.
Yeah, but add another 8 weeks onto it and see how you feel.
Oh,
I don't think things are going, you know, we've got to look at it long term, and I think we have to think, you know, this is going to be a 2-year thing. Maybe not lockdown or as extreme as it has been, but I certainly think, you know, you can't just think, oh, in a few months' time it will all get back to normal. You've got to think long term, if ever it will get back to normal.
I don't think it ever will be the same ever again.
it won't.
No. David said to me the other day, like something came through the post, and I just held it like this, and I was like, always say to him, wash your hands, wash your hands. And he just went, oh God, it's never going to be the same. Yeah,
it's tough. But can I just say though, thank God that we're not 22 and we're out clubbing and we want to go traveling and we're young and we've got all this, you know, pent up excitement for everything. Like, I'm so glad I'm the age I am. I've done a lot of it, and I can't wait to do it when I get out of this, you know, whole pandemic.
I was going to say, speak for yourself. I can't wait to get back clubbing.
Of course, and I can't
my
wait.
Hair out.
But we've done so much of it, and we've seen the world, and we've travelled, and we've had so many wonderful experiences. What about these kids that are just starting out, and you know, they've got all these things they want to do, and it's a completely different world at the moment.
I was saying that to Dave, and I was getting quite nostalgic over the last week, just kind of thinking back to the 90s, and we were going, oh, we were so lucky to live in that like decade. That decade was so much fun, and you know, the carefreeness of everything. But you know, there was no recession. There was, you know, the 90s was a good time, and you know, I was having like nostalgic times, and just we spoke about we're quite lucky being the age that we grew up in, where we didn't have the technology that the kids do now, so the, you know, the social media bits and pieces. And then, you know, we lived through the 90s and the rave scene and the craziness of that. And then you know, we're at an age where we're not high risk with this pandemic either. You And we're
Count our
all,
blessings.
yeah, we should, yeah, I mean, yeah, we should. And we're all in relationships with our partners, you know, we're living with them. They're, like you were saying, you've got the 20-year-olds that either are starting dating or, you know, absolutely wanting to get out and partying and all sorts. And yeah.
Oh, imagine that, being on Tinder and trying to hook up. Oh god.
Well, I imagine there are a lot of lonely people out there at the moment, and I can imagine some people's Tinder accounts going like crazy.
Yeah.
Just like, just talk to me, give me some love, I need some attention.
Yeah.
We had our sorry, this might be going off tangent, but we had our delivery guy turn up, shopping supermarket guy, and obviously everyone likes to speak to me and Dave, but he just stood up.
Obviously.
What,
why
He just-
obviously, Bear?
He just
obviously
turned
they
around.
do.
He turned around and said, everyone opens up to us. Like, he just stood at our gate and just spoke about losing his wife 4 years ago and working at the supermarket, and, you know, for 30 years. And he's so glad that this was the profession that he chose. And he'd been working doing the delivering for 3 years, and he's been working 6 days a week because he just doesn't want to go home, you know. And they're, you know, and the chance that he gets to chat with people when he delivers the food is his chance of socializing. And yeah, there are a lot of lonely people. I worry a lot. I get quite upset about what could be happening out there that's not spoken about, you know. Not just people being lonely, but people being scared and people being vulnerable. And yeah, there's a lot of worry.
Yeah, I mean, homeless people, there's so many different types of people out there in different situations, and we are very, very lucky to be in the situation. As frustrating as it is to have to sacrifice a lot of the things we love, we are extremely lucky to you know, have a roof over our heads and to be with our loved ones. And we do have to count our blessings, definitely. We do.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that's what took me and Dave through, like the wedding thing. We were just looking at each other going, goodness me, in the grand scheme of things, this is so non-important. Yes, it would be lovely to have our family and friends there, and yes, we spent time planning it, but in the grand scheme of things, goodness me, no, as long as everyone's safe and well and we can get through this, that's the main thing. That's the only thing that we care about, really. You know, there's lots of worry with our family and friends. And
yeah, so tell us a bit about that. So so you mentioned David's brother is a doctor and he's in a hospital, but he's also a vulnerable person. He's at risk, isn't he? Can you tell us a bit about that?
Yeah.
Oh, babe.
Oh, sweetheart, you don't have to.
You don't have to at all.
No, it's gosh, sorry.
What a shit sandwich, Jesus.
Yeah, no, it's a huge worry for us. I think our biggest worry, to be honest, it's that David's brother had cancer last year, so he is at high risk, and he has received a letter saying that he was at high risk, but his response was, I'm working in London as a doctor. So yeah, he's obviously working as normal, and he knows more than anyone how to look after himself. But yeah, we worry, I think, daily, hourly.
Of course you do.
Yeah, he seems to be taking it in his stride more than can't wait for us all to get through this and we'll be together again. That would be good.
Yeah, I mean, it's testament to him and his personality, how incredible and brave he is to be risking himself to help other people. But I guess when you go into that kind of a profession, that's what you want to do, isn't it? That's you want to look after people. Yeah. So yeah, love to you, sweetheart. I know it must be scary.
Oh, everyone's going through it. Absolutely everyone has their own things to deal with. Everyone's going through their own bits and pieces, their own worries, their own concerns. It's not just, it's everyone. And the weird thing is, it's global. You know, when ever happen that everyone's going through the same feelings at the same time? Obviously, at different strengths and different times, but it's still happening to each and every one of us. It's crazy.
You just like to fill a short space of time with every single life-changing thing you can possibly do. But another thing that you've been doing recently is buying a house.
Oh, yeah.
So how has lockdown affected that?
Oh, gosh. I mean, who would have thunk it, really? Because me and David have been trying to buy a house for many, many years. And just only we could actually buy a house whilst a global pandemic is going on. I mean, yeah, so we did just before lockdown, the weekend before lockdown, we went back for a second viewing on a property and we liked it. And then the week after that, when we were in lockdown, we actually put in the offer. So early April, it was accepted. And we've just been going through the motions of it at the moment. So yeah, we hope and pray that all goes through. We've got everything crossed. We just need to have the surveyors come out of lockdown and go, and fingers crossed everything happens. Yeah, okay. But yeah, only we could do that as well. So it seems
many
surreal.
balls in the air. So many balls, and they're all big balls as well.
And talking of, yeah.
Lovely.
Yeah, it's huge. But we've been preoccupied with that to kind of keep us focused, to think, well, hopefully something good can come out of it.
Yeah, it's a great thing to look forward to and an amazing distraction.
Absolutely.
So yeah, thank goodness that you went just before lockdown, because otherwise you'd be stuck just thinking, I just want to buy a house and I can't go and look at them.
Absolutely. And we managed to get a buyer for this house early in the year as well. So yeah, so we've just got to make everything all work together, and fingers crossed it all works out. So
it will. I know it will.
It will.
Mental. Thanks, ladies.
So day to day, Bear, how are you getting through it? How many bottles of Prosecco are in your fridge and recycling bin?
Yeah, I mean, that's just it. That's how we're getting through it, just becoming alcoholics. Yeah, no,
yes, welcome to Britain.
Funnily enough, we got our online shopping yesterday, and we tallied up what we'd spent on alcohol. We were just like, oh my god!
Oh, don't
judge me.
Yeah. And the thing is, it's not like excessive. It's just, a glass most evenings. And yeah, we do look at each other and going, what are we doing? But I think we just have to give ourselves a break and just, yeah. I mean, how are you getting through it the same way?
Yeah.
I'm trying not to drink too much during the week, but there have been some exceptions to that rule every now and then. But I am finding that I'm proper binge drinking at the weekends.
Yeah. On that note, Samantha.
Yeah. Cheers.
Thumbs up. I think that's how most of the country is functioning at the moment. And I think because we're all working from home, I mean, when that clock strikes 5, it's like, oh, okay, yeah, let's crack open something just to.
Yeah, the fridge is just there. It's much quicker to get there than the pub.
Yeah,
exactly.
Yeah,
and I have to drive so much with work, and it's just like, oh yeah, no, I don't have to drive this evening, or go anywhere.
Yeah, it sucks.
So what would you say was the best thing about lockdown? That not having to drive, spending time with Dave.
Do you know what? I went out yesterday in the car for the first time, and Dave had to actually pump up my tyre because it was like getting flat and getting low. And I needed to do a bit of a run around in the car. And I drove around, and everyone was having like outside their house, and it was VE day, and and so people were out, and I got quite emotional. It was quite an emotional.
That's unlike you.
It is, Bear. You're not one to weep.
You're usually so stoic.
I know. I know. don't know what came over me. So yeah, I think the best thing about being in lockdown, I suppose I have to think, just spending time with Dave and the cat. I know that sounds, I mean, what other best things are there? I'm enjoying it.
It's the simple
Yeah.
things always.
I mean, the amount of times before lockdown happened that you'd say, "Oh my goodness, I wish I had time. I wish
Yeah.
everything was cancelled for a bit and I could
Mm.
just hang around at home with the people I love and just
Yeah.
pretend that nothing else was going on in the world." And
No.
here we are,
Ta-da!
you know, we can't get FOMO because nothing's going on, but we can just stop for a bit. And I think there's a lot to be said for that. And I think we do need to look at the positives of enjoying that sort of time.
Yeah, and slowing down. And you know, I did, when this first happened, I think I put a post up on social media saying, this is not quite what I wished for, but I have been wishing to slow down and, you know, but just not to this degree and not to this kind of risk that was kind of out there. But yeah, it is, you have to think of the positives, because there are lots, you know, think of the planes, you know, the environment, you know, we can hear the birds sing, I can smell different smells in the countryside. I know that sounds daft, but you know, the lack of traffic noise is great. And we're speaking with our neighbours, we're speaking, you know, our neighbours have a adjoining garden and they never used it before, and now they're in it every day, and we're chatting with them over the, not, you know, our fence is quite high, we're talking to them, and across our drive there's our other neighbours, so we always have like three-way chats and things, and you know, it's just lovely. And when people have the clap for carers out on the Thursday, everyone kind of comes out on their doors and sees everyone, and before nobody even knew who lived opposite or at number 7 or at number 13, you know, nobody had any idea.
There's a real sense of community, isn't there?
Society, I think we've forgotten what a society is, and living amongst our neighbours and people, and clapping for things and being grateful for tiny little things. It is like being back in 1945, no traffic, simpler times, but without the grocery shop, online groceries.
I've become a Twitcher. I've actually,
What's a Twitcher?
I like a bird watcher. I've really got into my birds. Blackbirds sing "I'm a Barbie girl." Did you know that? They actually sing the line from "I'm a Barbie girl." Sorry?
Do a rendition. Oh, you're just about to.
Yeah. I'm a Barbie girl. Do-do-do-do-do. It's unbelievable. And I've had a gold crest in my garden. I've had dunnocks. I'm getting right at chaffinches. Getting proper into my birds.
Bird song is wonderful.
We saw all the house martins flying past last night.
Every woman, every man.
Join the caravan of love. Stand up.
Stand up.
What? The actual band, the house martins, went past your house?
Yeah, they were flying. No, they were catching all the insects. And we've got a red kite, and we've got a baby red kite that flies with the, so we're guessing, we've got lots of red kites around, but there's 2 and one's smaller, so we're guessing is a baby one. And yeah, that's quite fun to watch. Yeah,
but it is lovely,
so
actually.
Sad.
Because
it's not sad.
When we go to the park now, so we live right by Regent's Park, and when we go in there, people are actually stopping and looking at the flowers and smelling the blossom, and they're not in a rush to get home. This is their hour out, so they're really stopping and paying attention to things. It is wonderful to see.
Yeah, we're starting to appreciate all the things that we took for granted, aren't we?
Yeah.
Life is such a rush, and everybody's just trying to get somewhere, and your head's in your phone, and there's always something you're organising or planning. And when all of that's taken away, you can just stop and appreciate everything around you. And, you know, joking aside, it is actually really lovely.
That's it. And we're recognising we're recognizing what actually really matters in all of this. And yes, we're not with our loved ones, we're with our close loved ones, but we're not with our family and friends that mean so much to us. But we're probably connecting a little bit more, proper connection in the way of kind of checking in on people, having these Zoom parties, having some interaction in that sense. Whereas before, people were so busy with other things, they couldn't really stop and have a relationship at home with their family, or with their, it was just too busy. But
so tell us about your latest Zoom party, Claire. You had your hen do had to unfortunately be cancelled. So what happened?
Oh, it was brilliant. It was fantastic. I had I'm gonna get emotional again, but yeah, I think you girls, I know,
I
you girls
so much, you friggin' lunatic.
You girls know me more than I know myself. I didn't think that I'd be up to it, because we'd had a tough day the day before, but it was fantastic. I had a surprise at the door. I opened up the door. Actually, I've got it.
Oh, here she goes.
I've still got it.
That's an impressive penis. Smiling and everything.
I think it might come back into shot. Oh yeah, there we go. Had that arrive at my door, and then I had this beautiful kind of card that had everyone's notes in, and it was fab. And then it was an invitation to a virtual hen do's via Zoom that evening. So we all got dolled up, we jumped onto Zoom. It was absolute carnage. I can't get over how much you all did. David's sister did. It was just fantastic. And I know I was scared, and I know that all of you girls were scared and worried how it would turn out, but I don't know, it was with all my favourites, so for me it
worked brilliantly, and everyone had such a good time, and we spent next to no money because everything was just in the fridge.
Yeah, sorry, it felt like I'd been out, and then the next morning it definitely felt like I'd been
out. Yes, the next morning was a shocker.
Yeah. Oh God,
how much fun was that? Yeah, I loved it.
So much fun, and just exactly what I needed, and I didn't even realise I needed it. And I'd obviously had to come to terms with the hen do not going ahead, and I was more upset about that, if I'm being completely honest, because I think because it was the first thing to happen, and now the run up to that was a really tough week, because it was cancelling the hen do, cancelling the wedding as well. In actual fact, I cancelled it that morning, so I'd cancelled the wedding on that morning, and then I received the things in the post at the door. So I was like, bad timing, why did I cancel the wedding today? But it was all emotion. That week was full of emotion, but it was really good fun, and just what I needed.
Good.
Oh, there.
Because we lost our nan, didn't we, Rianne, at the beginning, middle of April, and her funeral was the Friday before that virtual hen do. So a lot happened in it.
And it was really tough because we couldn't go, because she obviously lives in Wales and there was a restriction on numbers. We're going to have a memorial service later when lockdown is lifted, but I mean, I could never have even imagined a few years ago that we'd be having, I mean, we did a little WhatsApp memorial of our own, didn't we? And we read poems and listened to songs and shared stories about her. And to have a memorial funeral of our own over WhatsApp, I mean, it's unheard of. I just, when you think back, we're going to look back at this time and just think, it was absolutely bonkers.
Yeah,
the things that we did, but it just shows the resilience and how we can adapt, doesn't it? You know, we are constantly adapting every day. We're thinking of ways that we can get through and solve problems, and it's working. And I think it's actually been a really good thing for the country to get their thinking caps on and think outside of the box for once.
And soon things do become normal, you know, the more you do something, the longer the time goes on, you know, things do become normal. So I said right at the beginning of this, I think people are going to struggle to come out of lockdown. And I still think that that's going to probably happen. But, you know, thinking about, you were saying about 2 years from now, thinking when we booked that weekend for my hen do, and who would have thought that weekend, in actual fact, we buried, you know, it was my nan's funeral on the Friday, and then a virtual hen on the Saturday, and I cancelled the wedding. Like, who would have thought that would have happened on that weekend? And one of my work colleagues said, do you know what, you know, it was lucky you did, because I had that time off, so it was booked in, you know, for annual leave. And she was like, you know, there's reasons why some things happen, and who knows, but you just couldn't have imagined, couldn't have thought.
No.
But you have to, like, that's it. You have to, like you said, just kind of think about how we can adapt, and we can kind of work with what we have, and we've got so much. So yeah, we have to be grateful for that.
We're still very lucky.
We are, yeah.
Right, well, let's wrap it up there, Bear. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Gorgeous thing.
Oh, pleasure.
Being on our podcast.
You've got such a beautiful attitude. You have an aura about you, which is just delicious. And I'm very proud to call you my sister.
Oh, I love you both. You're both my sisters. I adore you both. You know that. But yeah, I mean, like I said, everyone's going through the same, and I hope, you know, I don't know why my life is any different to anyone else going through lots of different things, but yeah, it's nice to share. It's nice to offload, isn't it? And if it can kind of help any others going through anything similar or anything, I don't know, we're all in it together, and we're all going to get through it, and we're all going to have the biggest, tightest hugs when it's all over. I reckon, saying that I reckon there's going to be like a world Guinness Book World Record, of the biggest hug. I think it'll be a global hug.
You should set that up. Maybe we'll do it by Zoom.
Yeah, I'll set it.
Or wearing a mask.
Yeah, the biggest virtual hug. Yeah.
Oh.
Now I've got loads of time.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, sending you a massive virtual hug, sweetheart. Thank you so much for talking to us.
Virtual hugs and kisses, and to your men, and mwah, mwah. I love you both tremendously.
Love you so much.
Right, let's
Bye.
Bye.
Thanks so much for listening to our podcast.
Check out the next episode for another one of our amazing mate stories.
See you next time.